Hi, I'm Bridget. Welcome to Reformer class. Today we're doing a level 2 class. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and let's get you moving. We're going to start with footwork. So I prefer to have my head rest up, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I'm going to look down into my spring well. I like to do my footwork on 2 reds, a green, and a yellow spring, but put on whatever you like. Any medium heavy spring will do. I also have my foot bar in the center position with my slide locks in. So let's lay you all the way down on our back and get started. Once you lay all the way down, one of the most important things that you're going to do is line up your shoulders and line up your hips. So you want to make sure you're centered on the machine. We're going to start by putting our toes on and kissing our heels together. Our tailbone's going to be heavy, our chest is proud. We're in a neutral spine, neutral pelvis. From this neutral position, we're going to take an inhale, push the machine all the way out to straight legs, lengthening way. I pop my head up at this moment and make sure my feet are even on the machine. I've got to adjust them a little bit so my turnout is even. Keeping my pelvis in neutral, which means the tailbone's heavy, will bend your knees, pull the machine in towards the stopper. And we're going to do that 7 more times. Inhale, press from that underbutt, engaging the pelvic floor as you fully extend, and exhale, bending your knees, resist, pull the machine in towards the stopper. Inhale, lengthen out there, 6. Keep squeezing those heels together. You'll get your inner thighs or VMOs to kick in a little bit deeper. There's 5. Resisting back. Almost feel like you're squeezing your inner thighs together to push the machine out for 4. Bending your knees, resist, pull the machine in towards the stopper. Chest is proud, back of the neck is long for 3. Bending in, lengthening out for 2. Resisting all the way back. Press the machine all the way out to straight legs and hold. From here, we're going to go into some pulses. So bring the machine about halfway in and pause. My tailbone's still heavy. I'm going to lower the machine down an inch and press back up an inch. As I do this, I'm moving from my underbutt and my pelvic floor. Obviously, quads and hamstrings are working as well, a little calf. And let's take this for about 4 more. Pulse for 4. Try to take the bounce out of the movement, 3. Make it about resistance for 2. And last 1. And then press the legs all the way to straight. Separate the heels so your feet are parallel. Drop your heels underneath the foot bar and take a lovely calf stretch down. I like to bend my right knee, increasing the stretch on my left leg, and take 3 deep breaths right there. Inhale, exhale, breathe for 3. Stretching out your left calf for 2. Inhale, exhale, breathe, last 1. Go ahead and lift both heels up nice and high, straighten both legs, bend your left knee, push your right heel down, and take 3 deep breaths on that right calf for 3. Inhaling through the nose, exhale, breathe for 2. Inhale, exhale, breathe, last 1. Lift both heels up nice and high, and we're going to do calf work next. So if you are hypermobile in your knee joint, keep a softness to your knees. Don't lock them out. If you're not hypermobile, you just keep your legs perfectly straight. We're going to lower both heels underneath the foot bar on an exhale. And inhale, lift both heels up nice and high. Taking it down for 7. Think about trying to roll or articulate your foot as you lift back up. Lowering down for 6. Lift. Lower for 5, just double checking my pelvis is still neutral. Lower for 4, lift, exhale, press for 3, inhaling, lower down for 2, lift, press, last 1. Lift those heels up nice and high, bend your knees, come all the way in with parallel legs, and press back out with parallel legs, reaching away. Pulling the machine in from your underbutt, pelvis is neutral. Inhale, lengthening all the way back out. We have 6 more to go. Bending in for 6. And inhale, push the machine open. Exhale, resist for 5. Once again, my ankles, knees, and sit bones are on railroad tracks. Bending your knees for 4, creating a crease at your hip, keeping that pelvis in neutral. Take it for 3 more. Inhale, lengthening out, lifting up and out of the spine. Last 2. And then press all the way out and hold. We're going to go back to some pulses. Bring the machine about halfway in. Once again, pause. Tailbone's heavy. Let's pulse it out. 8, 7, pulse 6, pelvic floor for 5, underbutt 4, 3, 2, push the machine to straight legs and hold. Without letting the pelvis move at all, bend one knee, push the opposite heel down. There's 8, lift and switch. There's 7. Inhale, lift and exhale, lower for 6. Inhale, exhale, press. There's 5. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower for 4. Your pelvis is going to want to hula side to side. Keep it totally steady for 3. Always take my hands onto my hips when I do this for 2, just to double check. Lift and press. Last 1. Go ahead and lift both heels up nice and high. Bend both knees. Come all the way into the stopper. Wiggle off of your shoulder blocks just a ½ inch or so you're not pressed up against them. If your headrest is up, you have to reach around and flip it down flat. Once you get the headrest flat, you can press those arms back into the mat. Taking an inhale here. On your exhale, we're going to pelvic curl. So you're going to from that neutral position, you're going to tuck your pelvis, push your low back down to peel your vertebra off one at a time. Reaching your knees as far forward as you can. You inhale, hold the top, and then exhale, roll back down the spine. Ooh, lengthening out. That should feel lovely on the back, getting a good amount of traction. Chest is proud, back of the neck is long. Inhale, holding, exhale, tucking the pelvis, squeezing the glutes, roll your hips all the way up. Reach those knees forward, widen the collarbone. You inhale, hold. This should be a lot of work in the glutes, and roll all the way back down. If you're doing this and you're like, well, I don't really feel my glutes, it probably means you're in a little bit of external rotation from the hip socket. So don't let those knees turn out and don't let your heels turn in. Try to keep everything nicely lined up. When in doubt, even bring those knees a little bit closer together and push the heels out a little bit, and you should feel those glutes kicking a little bit deeper even. Rolling back down. 2 more. Inhale, holding at the bottom. Exhale, tucking the pelvis, squeezing the glutes, taking it up for 2. Reach those knees forward, widening the collarbone, shoulder blades hook down. You inhale, hold. Exhale, rolling down. Lovely movement to the spine. I always like to think of my spine as a string of pearls. And as I lift off, I just lift one pearl at a time and they traction off the table. This one, as you come all the way up to the top, we've got to get that underbutt really warmed up for the rest of class. So from here, lower your pelvis down just an inch or so, tuck your pelvis and push your hips back up for 8. It should be a really deep movement for that underbutt for 7. Breathe. 6. Exhale, 5. Make sure you're pushing through your big toe joint for 4. If you're cramping in your hamstrings, you can do this on your heels for 3. Pulse. 2. And last 1. Roll all the way down, one vertebrae at a time. As you come down, we're going to go ahead, come onto the arches of your feet on the foot bar and squeeze your knees and ankles together so everything's kind of locked in. We're just going to do one pelvic curl up to the top and do a little work up there. They're called butterfly pulses. Take an inhale here. On your exhale, tuck the pelvis, squeeze the glutes. You'll lose a little articulation because your knees are squeezed together, so just be prepared there. Hold up at the top. Now, from here, I'm going to let my knees butterfly out to the side as I lower my hips down just in like maybe 2 inches. My heels are still really pushing together on the down, so make sure you have that locked in. And then lift your hips back up, tucking your pelvis, squeeze those knees together. There's 8. Inhale, lower and drop. Exhale, lift and squeeze for 7. Chest is proud, back, the neck is long for 6. I'm also really pushing my arms into the mat, so I'm grounding through my triceps for 5. Pulling the machine in towards the stopper. There's 4. Inhaling, I feel the pressure of the heels for 3 as I open my knees. And now it's really important that you squeeze your knees together at the top for 2. You get that much more work out of it. Lift and pause. Take an inhale here, squeezing those knees together. Exhale, roll down the spine, one vertebrae at a time. And then take the feet. I'm going to come back onto my toes because it's a little bit more challenging. as wide as they can go onto the foot bar. You're in external rotation, so I'm turning out from my hip socket, my knees are wide, and my heels and feet are tracking in line with my knees. Taking an inhale here, pelvic curl. Tuck the pelvis. You should feel more of that outer upper glute kicking in now with wide feet. If you are on your toes, make sure your heels stay low. If they lift up, you're going to lose a little bit of the work. And roll all the way back down. One vertebrae at a time. Tailbone comes down, inhaling. Exhale, taking it up for about 4 more. Rolling up for 4. Think about, do you feel like your right and left sides, your right and left glutes work evenly, or does one glute just work a little bit more than the other one? Is one easier to talk to? Like, do you feel it kick in a little bit more? My right glute, I'm like locked in, perfect, straight A student. My left side is a little naughty and roll back down. So I've got to talk to my left side more just to get it to pull its own weight. 2 more. Inhaling here, exhale, take it up for 2. It's always a good idea to take inventory on your body to see where you are. Lift for 2 and rolling all the way back down. It also makes the work more meditative because it takes you out of the outside world and puts you into your body while you're working out. Last one, lift to hold. Pausing up there. From here, let's just go for a little pulse up. There's 8. Pulse for 7. Pull the machine in towards the stopper, 6, 5, pulse 4, 3, breathe for 2, little tremor of truth going on over here. Last one, roll it all the way down, 1 vertebrae at a time. Bring your toes back together on the foot bar. We're going to go for a figure 4 stretch. So I'm going to keep my right foot exactly where it is. I'm going to cross my left ankle to my right knee. At this point, I'm also going to reach around and flip my headrest back up because it's just more comfortable for my neck. You can do whatever you want there. And I like to push my left knee away as I keep my pelvis in neutral. So if I was to reach down, I'm doing it right now, the bottom rib and the hip bone should be the same distance right to left. When you do this, you're going to have a habit of, if you're stretching your left leg, scrunching in or closing in the right side, and you just miss out on a bit of the stretch there. Let's just take about 3 deep breaths right there. Breathe for 3, letting that left hip really open up. Take it for 2. Love a figure 4 stretch. Last breath on this left side. Enjoy it. And let's replace that left foot onto the foot bar. Let's cross the right ankle to the left knee. Push that right knee away. Once again, the pelvis is nicely lined up. We're going to take a few breaths right here. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing. Once again, line up the pelvis in relationship to the bottom ribs. Very important. And some people like to take the shape and huck it in towards them to get the hip stretch. Whatever works best for you. Take 2 more deep breaths right here. Breathe for 2. And last breath right here. We are going to go ahead and go for your series of 5 next. It's your classical abdominal warm-up. To do this, I like to pop my foot bar down flat so I can have full range of motion for my legs. You are more than welcome to leave it up. You'll just have a limited range of motion. But I'm going to sit myself up and do that now. Once you get your foot bar wherever you want it, you do want to lay all the way back down on your spine and line yourself up with those shoulder blocks. We're going to bring your legs into a true tabletop position, which means my knees are directly above my pelvis and I could balance a cup of tea on my shins. We'll reach our arms straight up towards the ceiling, taking an inhale here. On your exhale, we're going to go chest lift up as those hands come down in line with our hips for 5. Resist, let the head rest back down. If this bothers your neck, you can take your hands behind your head, interlacing your fingers. There's 4. Pulling the machine back in towards the stopper. Breathe for 3. Resisting back. Chest lift up for 2. Inhaling, you're going to be tempted to tuck your pelvis. Try to keep the pelvis in neutral as you lift to hold. Pausing up there, hands can be down by your side. They can come behind your head to support your neck, or classically, you extend the left leg out and you take them on top of your right knee, whatever feels best for you. We're going to exchange our legs 8 times for single leg stretch. Let's switch. There's 8. Think about sinking your abdominals down as you reach for 7.
There's 6. I also really feel like I place my foot out there for 5 with my straight leg. Place for 4. There's 3. In a perfect world, our shoulder blades would be up and off the mat for 2. Last one right there. Pull both knees in, curl up a little bit higher. Once again, hands can be behind your head to support your neck, or classically, reach those arms and legs away in opposition, circling the arms around, pulling the legs back into tabletop. They can come a slightly further in as long as you don't lose your neutral pelvis either. Reach and circle. We've got 6 more. Press, bringing it around for 6. Can you curl up a little bit higher? Reach and circle for 5. Feel those obliques help stabilize for 4. As you reach the arms and legs away, sink your abdominals down for 3. Stretch, circle 2. And reach, circle, last 1. Extend those legs straight up towards the ceiling. You can do this in parallel, or you can turn out, kissing those heels together. Hands come behind your head to support your neck, or you can let your head rest down holding onto your silver pegs, which I'm gonna do. Lower the legs down, lightly touching that foot bar, scoop out the core and bring those legs straight back up towards the ceiling. Once again, neutral pelvis, so the pelvis does not get to rock around here, lowering down and lifting up. Nicely done. Press, reach, and lift. A lot of pelvic floor here. Lower, I initiate the lift by engaging the pelvic floor and let that disperse into my transverse abdominis. 3 more, and lift. You'll be tempted to use momentum. Try to go really slow on the way up just so you get that deep abdominal burn for 2. Lower, lift, and hold. Go back to parallel if you're in turnout. Bring yourself back into a chest lift if your head was resting. Grab behind your right calf. Lower your left leg down and pulse your right leg in towards you twice. Go stretch, stretch, hamstring pull 1. Grab the opposite leg and pulse it in towards you twice. Stretch, stretch. Ooh, my left side's tighter than my right. Back to the right for 6. To the left for 5. To the right for 4. Exhaling for 3. Take 2. Last one right here. Exhale, exhale. Now from here, take your hands behind your head and twist towards the leg that's up. Think about top elbow up towards the ceiling, bottom elbow behind you. Switch legs, switch rotations. There's 8. This is our last set in the series. 7. Breathe. 6. Hello, obliques for 5. Really reach through those legs. 4. There's 3. Up and over for 2, and last 1. Hug your knees in, roll around on the low back. Whew, be glad that's done. And let's go ahead. I've got to pop my foot bar back up into place so we can finish off your footwork. If your foot bar is already there, then you can do a little happy baby, maybe a little bit more figure 4 stretch, whatever works best for you. We'll lay all the way back down on our back. Once we're down, once again, line up your shoulders and take the heel of your foot as wide as it can go onto the foot bar, and make sure your hips are also lined up right to left. Find that neutral spine, neutral pelvis, drop back into it, and press the machine all the way out to straight legs. My tailbone's heavy, chest is proud, abs are strong, bending your knees, pull the machine in towards the stopper. Lengthening away, reach, resisting back. Once again, pushing from the seat of your pants. There's 6. Bending back in. Press for 5. Resist and pull the machine in towards the stopper. Widening the collarbone, back the neck is long for 4. Once again, always doing a body scan. Press for 3. Is one leg working harder than the other? Do you have a cramping in one side? Is your neck a little tender today? And here's our last one. Press all the way out to hold. Bring it halfway in and pause. Pulse it down for 8. Take the bounce out of the movement, 7. Make it about resistance for 6. And the pelvic floor, 5. 4. Here's 3. Hello, glutes for 2. Push the machine all the way to straight legs. Bend your knees, come all the way in and hold. Keep your feet wide, just drop down onto your toes. Now we still are externally rotated from our hip socket. Press all the way out with wide toes. Bend your knees, resist, pull the machine in towards the stopper. Lengthening out there, 7. Pulling the machine back. Reach away for 6. Bending in. Inhale, press and reach, there's 5. Try to get your inner thighs working as much as you can here. I like to kind of get the sensation I'm squeezing onto a dowel, but my knees don't come any closer together for 4. If that cue works for you, fabulous. Breathe for 3. Pulling the machine in towards the stopper. Taking it out, there's 2. Make sure those upper abs are kicked in. I have a habit of flaring because of dance. Last one. Bring it halfway in and hold. From here, let's pulse it down 8. Pulse it down 7, 6, 5, 4. Resistance for 3. Pelvic floor 2. Last one. Press all the way out to wash it out. Bend your knees, come all the way into the stopper. Whew. Prehensile, probably my favorite set of footwork. So our feet are going to be 2 to 3 inches apart on the foot bar, and our arches are going to be on the bar. From here, push the machine all the way out to straight legs and pause. Without dropping down onto the ball of your foot, push your heels as low as you can and knuckle those toes around. You should feel some nice work and stretch through the feet. You're really knuckling those toes, you're lowering the heels. You're going to continue to grip onto the foot bar as you bend your knees, pulling the machine in towards the stopper. Press the machine all the way out. The reason why I always say pull the machine in is pretend like you're doing this on one yellow spring or the lightest spring you have. It's a lot more work to close the machine than it is to press back out, and I definitely recommend trying it. It'll change footwork for you. Reaching away. You'll start to find more work on the way in than you do on the way out, which is really important. And we've got this for 3. I'm still gripping on. I'm keeping my heels as low as I can as I bring the machine in. Pressing away, there's 2. Bending in. Here's our last full press in prehensile. Last one. Bring it halfway in and hold. We're still going to do some pulses here for 8. 7. Abs are strong. 6. Glutes are turned on. 5. Hello, pelvic floor for 4. 3. 2. Getting some nice work through the bottoms of my feet as well. Taking it all the way up. Bending your knees, coming in. We do need to rotate the spine before we move on. So scoot away from your shoulder blocks just an inch or so. Reach your hands around and hold on to your silver pegs for what is my favorite exercise. Legs find tabletop, and I squeeze my knees together. I actually pretend like I've super glued my knees together so they can't shift around on one another. My shoulder blades stay connected to the mat as I twist my hips to the right, taking my legs off to the right. My left hip lifts up and off, but my left shoulder blade stays down. And big exhale, pull the legs back to center. Twist the legs to the left, reaching out the right elbow. Opening up, and exhale, center. Let's take it back to the right. Here's 6. Legs are to the right, left shoulder blades down. Exhale, center. Chest is proud. To the left for 5. Oh, it feels so lovely on the back. And center. To the right for 4. Breathing. To the left for 3. Exhale, center. To the right for 2. Exhaling to the left, last one, twist. Bring it all the way back to center. Let the feet rest down. Let your hands go. Take an inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Whew. Kind of wiggle your fingers around because they were gripping on, and let's get you up and off of your back here. We are going to go for your hip flexor stretches next. I like to do this on one green spring, which is kind of medium heavy. You can do it on one red spring. If you were to do it on one blue, that's really light for kneeling hip flexor stretches. So I would go with a green or a yellow. I'm also going to locate my knee pads, which happen to be right down here on the floor. And I'm going to put them on my machine towards the foot bar side of the carriage. I will then kneel up on my machine facing my foot bar. So once again, one green spring, one red spring's a little bit lighter. I wouldn't do a blue, that's really light. Your foot might slip off.
I'm gonna start with my left leg. So my right knee's gonna stay exactly where it is. I'll bring my left foot up and onto the foot bar in what would be in line with the pelvis. So it's not directly in the center and it's not way out to the side. My fingertips stay down and I push my left leg out as straight as I can get it. If you can get it straight, fabulous. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just keep stretching your hamstrings. Whether your leg is straight or not, we have to square off your pelvis. Swing your right hip bone forward, drop your left glute down and back and go, whoo, there's my stretch. If your leg is straight, at this point you can drop your heel underneath the foot bar. And breathe for 4. Inhaling, exhale, breathe. There's 3. Take it for 2 more deep breaths. And when you're ready, bend that left knee, come all the way into the stopper. Push your pelvis as far forward as you can because we're taking a stretch now through the front of your right hip. Reach your right arm out to the side and side stretch up and over to the left. Just increase the stretch through the front of your right hip and breathe there for 4. Breathe for 3. Take 2. And last one, replace your right hand all the way down. Take your left foot off. Bring your right knee up and on. Once you get that right knee up there, bring your right foot up and on. Once you get your right foot up there, press your right foot out as straight as you can get it. Once again, if it's not straight, don't worry about it, but do set up the pelvis. So swing your left hip bone forward, drop your right glute down and back. Once you're there, you can drop your right heel underneath the foot bar and breathe. Think about where the carriage is. The further out you push the carriage, the further away from the stopper, the more hamstring stretch you'll get. The further in you pull the carriage, the more the hip stretch you'll get. So you can kind of play with your placement there as well. Let's take it for 3 deep breaths right here. Breathe for 3. There's 2. Last 1. Bending your right knee, coming all the way into the stopper. Push your pelvis as far forward as you can. Reach your left arm out to the side and side stretch up and over to the right. Opening up the front of your right hip. Breathing right there for 4. This goes into my lower oblique on my left side and a little kind of TFL IT band as well as the hip flexor. 2 more deep breaths. Breathe for 2. Last one right here. Let's replace that left hand down. Take your right foot off. We're going to go ahead, step off your machine, and we're going to do a few things. We're going to put your long boxes on. So I'm going to 86 my knee pads just to the floor. You don't need those anymore. Flip your headrest down flat if it's up. We're also going to be doing some seated arm work here. So I like to do this on 1 blue spring. So once I add my blue spring, I will then get rid of the green. Just a little word to the wise. You always want to add springs before you subtract because you don't want to have no springs on there. I don't think we do very few exercises with no springs. We're going to grab for our long boxes. I can think of a few, but not today. Put the long boxes on the machine and make sure they're even right to left. So once again, for seated arm work, I like a blue. I do my arm work a little bit lighter than most people because I've got some neck stuff. So that's kind of on the light side. You can do this on a red. If you want a little heavier, if you can do it on a green, thumbs up. Once you're there, you're going to sit down on your machine with your feet on the headrest. Grab the plastic right up above your hardware and take your straps to the exterior of the frame. Sitting up as tall as you can, rotate your shoulder blades back and down. Think about engaging the pelvic floor and tightening your core. From here, we'll reach your arms down and press back behind you for chest expansion and bring your arms back forward. Take the arms back for 7, resisting forward. Breathe for 6. We never come all the way back into the stopper. It's a limited range of motion. There's 5. You should feel this in the tricep teres lat for 4. A little posterior delt as well. Breathe for 3. Take those arms down and back for 2. Now on the next one, you're going to press your hands behind you and hold. Doing a little adjustment for my seat. Press to pause. Bend at your elbows on an inhale. tricep press. So the humerus, the top part of our arm is not moving at all. We're just bending and extending from the lower part of your arm, from the forearm to the hands reach. Another thing that I used to see in class a lot is people would break at the wrists. So keep your wrist long as if you're wearing a wrist guard right now. Take 3 more. Press for 3, say hello to your triceps. Take it for 2, which is the back of the top part of the arm. Press last 1. Bring your arms forward, reach them out in front of you, and we're gonna bicep curl. So from here, think about your elbows are resting on a tabletop so they can't lift up or lower down. We'll bend your elbows in, bringing your fists towards your shoulders, resist those arms back out. A lot of people have a tendency to roll your upper body forward and go into computer posture when we do biceps. So really think about hooking your shoulder blades back and down. And we've got 6 more. Curl for 6, resisting out. Curl 5, out. Abs are strong, shoulder blades are hooking down for 4. Also, people have a tendency to lean back when they do this, so make sure you stay nicely upright for 3, so your rib cage is directly above your pelvis. Take 2. Last one right here, curling in, resisting out, and then grab the opposite strap in the opposite hand. Bend your elbows into your side body and squeeze your elbows towards your ribs or into your ribs. Pretend like we've put $100 bills in between your elbows and your side body and your ribs. You don't want to lose it. So keep squeezing your elbows in as you externally rotate, open your arms out to the side for 8. This should be posterior delt. There's 7. If this feels too heavy or too light, you can choke up or down on the strap for 6. There's 5. Back of the neck is nice and long for 4. Here's 3 more, there's 3. Shoulder blades hooked down for 2. Whew. Last 1. Resist the arms back forward and then reach the arms out, turning your palms to face the ground. We're gonna go for a row. You're going to bend your elbows high into the sides as you pull your fist towards your armpits, resisting the arms back out. You might feel some good work into your neck, but you don't want any negative tension back there. If this is going into your neck in a negative way, drop your elbows down towards your sides a little bit. And resisting back out. 4 more. Row for 4. Once again, are your abs strong? Are your shoulder blades hooking down for 3? 2 more. Last one right here. Resisting the arms back out. We're gonna add rotation into that movement and doing it 1 arm at a time. So my left arm's gonna stay exactly where it is. I'm gonna lose tension in my left strap. As I row my right elbow back and I twist and I look at it, I resist back to the start where I just was. Now I'm gonna take my left arm back, twist and look, and bringing it back to the start. We've got 6 more to go. To the right for 6, resisting back out. To the left for 5. Take inventory. Is it easier to rotate to one side than the other for 4? It's always good to get to know your body. For 3, and a perfect world would be symmetrical right to left, but that's rarely the case for 2. Last one to the left, which is my trickier side, resisting all the way back out. Let's uncrisscross those straps and replace the long loops, if you're working with 2 loops, onto the pegs. We're gonna go into some planking next. Let's get some ab work going. From here, we've got to take our foot bar all the way down flat. Once the foot bar is flat, we're gonna double check that we're on 1 blue spring. So if you're not on that blue spring, come to a blue spring. We're gonna be rotating your box around so that it is short box style. And we're gonna take it right along the legs of your foot bar, but not over the black part of your foot bar. It should fit in there perfectly, depending on the machine that you're working on. If this doesn't work for your machine, you can always take your box off and just do planking work with your feet on the frame. I'm going to kneel up on my machine, tucking my toes under against the shoulder blocks. My hands are going to come down onto my box perfectly parallel. We have 3 sets in this series and it builds, so it's going to get more and more challenging as we go. So just be prepared there. When ready, we're gonna hover our knees up and press out to our plank position, and we're just gonna hold plank and breathe right there. For 8, inhale, exhale, breathe for 7. Once again, tucking the pelvis, really kicking those abs in for 6. You're gonna be tempted to kind of sink into your shoulders, try to lift up and out of the shoulders for 5. Breathe, there's 4. 3 more deep breaths. Take it for 2. And last one. Come all the way in, let the knees rest down, unfurl the toes, press back into a child's pose position. Because it feels so good. Breathing right there. Inhale and exhale. Take 2 more deep breaths. And last breath right there. We'll bring the machine all the way into the stopper again. Next set, I call them knee slides. So bring your hands back up and forward, tuck the toes under, hover your knees up, and press out to your plank position. Think about your spine and pelvis don't get to move at all. You're gonna slide your knees in underneath you on an inhale. Big exhale, press the legs out for 8. Sliding in. Press there, 7. Resist. And breathe for 6. Inhaling. Exhale, press 5. Taking it in, sliding those knees in. 4 more. Whew. Nice burn through the core for 3. Abs are strong, shoulder blades are hooking down for 2. Bending in, pressing out, last 1. Come all the way in, let the knees rest down. Unfurl those toes. Press back into child's pose and take a breath right there. You can let the head go side to side. Breathing. Whew. And our last set are going to be hip pikes. Once again, if you have really tight hamstrings, this is not going to be the most comfortable thing. If you are really tight in the hamstrings, I recommend going back to knee slides. So it's basically going from a downward dog back into a plank. Let's tuck those toes under, hover the knees up, press out to your plank position. From here, pike your hips up towards the ceiling, gazing down at your toes. Lightly tap the stopper, press back out to your plank for 8. Lifting up, length for 7. Lift, breathe there, 6. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press for 5. Bringing it up, shoulder blades are hooking down. Taking it out, there's 4. Lift, press for 3. Lifting up. Pike, lightly tap that stopper, take it for 2. Lifting up, pressing out, last 1. Bend your knees, come in, let the knees rest down. Press back into child's pose, let that low back open up. Taking a few breaths right there. And when you're ready, take a few shoulder rolls back and down. We're just gonna do 1 set of side overs before we move on. For side overs, depending on how tall you are, is how far you move the box out. So I'm 5'9", so I take the box over the shoulder blocks, but in front of the pegs. And that's the correct positioning for my height. So just depending, you might have to arrange that. Depending on what type of machine you're working on, for me, for side overs, you have to have the strap accessible. So my strap just is with the Revo foot bar, but I'm going to add on every single spring, and I ask you to do the same so the carriage doesn't move at all. And then I rest my strap just on top of my colors. To get into the best position for side overs, you're gonna sit down on your box. And we're gonna do your left side first. So that means I'm gonna hook my left foot underneath my fuzzy, or my strap. In the studio, they were fuzzies. Turn to your right, and I will line my right shin up with the short edge of the box. We always start side overs with a lovely stretch. And we end with a lovely stretch as well. So I'm gonna flex my left foot so I am now hanging in that strap. My foot is not touching the wood at all. My left leg is perfectly straight and I'm squeezing my left glute. That's what's grounding me down. If you start to point your left toe, you're gonna slide out, so make sure you keep the foot flexed. My right hand will come onto the headrest, and then I'm gonna walk it all the way down to the floor as I stretch my left arm up and over. Because it feels so good. And breathe for 3. Inhale.
Exhale, breathe for 2. Last breath right here. I will then bring my right hand back up onto the headrest. There's 4 different, possibly more, but I'm going to show you 4 different arm positions for side overs. So the easiest one is to keep, or the more supported one, is to keep your right hand on the headrest. Take your left hand behind your head, because then you can use your right tricep to help out your oblique a little bit. One step up is left hand on your hip bone, right hand behind your head. One step up is both hands behind your head. The hardest is both arms out. You can even hold on to little hand weights out there if you want to go there. I like both hands behind the head, and we're going to do a set of 8 per side. So from here, I'm going to dip down into the spring well. Oh, because it feels so good. And lift for 8. Inhaling down. And exhale, take it for 7. Make sure that hip isn't moving. And breathe for 6. The whole movement should happen from the hip bone up. Lengthening out and lift for 5. The left glute is really engaged and squeezing to ground you down for 4. Inhaling, exhale, breathe for 3. Lower, lift 2, down, lift last 1. Twist your heart to face the ground. Take a nice stretch down into the well. Ooh, walk your hands to opposite sides of the frame, and you can walk them out just to take that nice stretch, opening up what we just worked. Before we bring you up and out of that position, hook your right foot underneath that strap. We're going to turn the face opposite way. So I'm going to turn to face my pirate painting. My right foot is now hooked down. That's my anchor. I'll then hang in that strap. My right glute is really engaged. My left hand's going to come down onto the headrest before it comes down into the well. And I stretch my right arm up and over, and I'm going to breathe right there. Inhaling and exhale. Breathe for 3. Just letting that right side really open up. Once again, keep that right leg straight. You're going to be tempted to bend it, which means you're going to be holding from your hip flexor. Press it straight, squeeze the glute. And when you're ready, bring yourself back up into position. Once again, my right glute's really squeezed. Pick your hand position. You know them now. And when you're ready, let's dip down on an inhale. Reach away and lift up for 8. Inhaling down. Exhale, lift 7. Lower and lift for 6. Inhaling down. Exhale, lift 5. Lower, lift for 4. Bringing it down. Exhale up for 3. Lower, lift 2. Hello, right oblique. Down, lift to hold. Twist your heart to face the ground. Walk your hands to opposite sides of the frame and walk those hands out and take a nice stretch right there. Inhaling and exhale, breathing. Take 3 more deep breaths and breathe for 2. Last breath. And we will then carefully get you up and off of this position. We will then deconstruct the machine a little bit here. Take your boxes back home to wherever they live. We're going to get rid of those guys. Say thank you, box. Oh, I appreciate the side overs and thanks. Once you get those boxes back home, we are going to pop your foot bar back up into footwork level. So for me, I take it right back into my center rung. Put my slide blocks in. We have to get a little bit more glute work in. So we're going to do, there's different names for everything. It's a standing lunge. Classically, it was called Eve's lunge. You can do this on either one yellow or one blue spring. I like to do it on the yellow because I like to work the balance more. You can do it on a blue, which you're going to work the strength more. I leave it up to you. So one blue or one yellow spring. I'm going to walk around the side of my machine and tuck my left toe under against the shoulder block as I walk my right knee back so my legs are as lined up as possible. Standing up straight on my right leg, this is our home position, our start position. You're going to want to hang in this right hip. Can you lift up and out of that right side as much as you can, tucking the glute in? We initiate by kicking your left leg out behind you as you bend your right knee coming down for your lunge. One of the most important things about this exercise is that your standing leg knee, so for me it's my right knee, is directly above my ankle and it stays that way. It's going to want to kick forward or back your shin. Try to really line that up. That's kind of the crux of the exercise.
and then resist, pull the machine back in. Now, your choice as to where you want your arms to be. Some people like to send them out in front of you as you press out and resist and bring them back down. Some people like them on the hips, some people like them out to the side. I like one hand on the hip, one hand reaching, length, and bringing it back. Whatever's best for your balance. And we've got 5 more to go. There's 5. Once again, I always do everything in sets of 8, just habit. 4, so if your timing is a little off than mine, don't worry about it. Just do 8 and pause. Breathe for 3, and on this set, we're gonna pause on the out after your last one. Resist, pull the machine all the way in. As you press out, lower your chest down, but keep your spine long for 2. We don't wanna go into thoracic flexion or computer posture. Really keep it nice and long, press out, even maybe a little bit of extension and hold. This is where the balance comes in. Think about where the carriage is in space. Do not let it move. Push your standing leg straight for 8, bend it back in. Press that right leg straight for 7. Swinging your left hip bone forward or right glute back for 6 will increase the work. Carriage is perfectly steady for 5. Mind that balance. Take 4. Breathe for 3. We have 2 more. There's 2. Whew. Last one right here. Press. And then resist. Come all the way in. And my leg is really shaking. Whew. Little shake out. Give yourself a love tap on that right glute maybe. Let's walk around and go for the left side. I will start by tucking my right toe under against the shoulder block. Walk your left leg back so your knees line up as best as they possibly can. A little wardrobe adjustment is always a good idea. Step up onto that left foot. Once again, you're going to be tempted to kind of sink or hang in that left glute. Start the exercise by lifting up and out of that left side. Very important. Make sure your left foot is nice and straight as well. Kick that right leg out behind you as you bend the left knee. On my first one, I double check that my left knee is still above that ankle. And then I resist and I pull the machine all the way back in. Also think about the pressure of your foot. Taking it out, are you rolling in or out on the foot? I also like to ground down through the heel before I resist and pull the machine back in. We've got 6 more to go. Press there, 6. Pulling the machine back in. Arms can do whatever they need to do to help you balance for 5, but the knee has got to stay above the ankle. Resisting back in. Sometimes I look down there to double check and it's not. It's like, hey, line back up for 4. So every time you press it back out, check on that knee. Resisting back in. 3 more. Taking it out for 3. Bringing it back. 2 more. Press and reach for 2. Pulling the machine back in towards the stopper. On the next one, you're gonna press it all the way out to hold. So do your 8 and then hold on the out. Really getting into that left glute, you're gonna not let the carriage move. Keep it nice and steady. Push that left leg straight for 8, bringing it back. 7, resisting in. Say hello to that left glute for 6. Bend, pressing up and back for 5 to keep the carriage steady. There's 4. Mind the balance for 3 more. 3. Take your last 2. Last one right here. Bend, come all the way in. Whew. Take a little shake out. Locate your knee pads. So step 1. We're gonna put the knee pads back onto the carriage right where they were for your kneeling hip flexor stretches and hamstring stretches. You'll then look down into your spring wall. The light spring on this is blue, the medium spring is red, the heavy spring is green. This is one of those exercises, the lighter you go, the more challenging it is. I'm gonna do it on a red spring, which is the medium spring. We're gonna be doing what we call a down stretch. So you're gonna kneel up on your machine facing your foot bar again, tucking those toes under. Hands go nice and wide onto the foot bar. Now keeping the carriage at the stopper, don't let it press out. Push your pelvis as far forward as you can and lift up through the heart. Shoulder blades are hooking down. If you're collapsed in your shoulder joint and have shoulder earrings, like if you could touch your ears with your shoulders, you're out of the exercise already. Lift up and out as much as you can. Think about not changing the shape of your body whatsoever. Push the machine open by opening up your shoulder joint. Your pelvis goes down towards the ground as you press out. Now think, squeeze the glutes, engage the pelvic floor, shoulder blades pull down, pull the machine closed for 8. Pressing out. Squeeze, scooping out the core. There's 7. Lengthening away. Widening the collarbone. There's 6. Pressing out. Once again, glutes, pelvic floor, shoulder blades hooked down. There's 5. Pressing the machine open. Abs to spine for 4. Back of the neck is long, thoracic extension. Reaching away. Breathe for 3 more. There's 3. I'm being very careful because my hands feel a little slippy. I should have put a sticky down for 2. So if your palms are a little sweaty, just be prepared there. Taking it out, shoulder blades hooked down. Lift up and forward. Last one. Carefully press back into child's pose. You can push the machine open with your hands or do whatever you need to do with your upper body, whatever feels good. And breathe right there for 3. Breathe for 2. Last one. You can roll up through the spine. Just kneel up nice and tall. And I just want to say thank you so much for showing up to Reformer class. I loved having you in class today. If there's an exercise that you would like to see, please leave a comment below. If not, have a beautiful day. Thank you for coming again.